Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Real Hacker Hours podcast. This is basically where I just do the normal work I would on side projects. I just hit the record button before I do it. Today I'm continuing looking at Postfix. Right now I want introspection into how the queue manager works. The queue manager is the mechanism that is responsible for whenever Postfix has an email and put it into it, it gets fed into a queue, which is then outputted. There are various mechanisms which will interface with clients and other things to take and send email and put them into the queue and out of the queue. But yeah, right now the queue manager, this is the component that is mainly responsible for it. I've identified that the queue manager loop is the primary loop which runs the server. So let's continue looking at that. First, is postfix running? Yes, it is running. Cool. And let's attach to it. It is this right here. Cool. So we're attached to it. One thing I'm kind of wondering, this queue manager loop, it started here in the actual... This is the main function for the queue manager, and we see here, I'm not sure what this is, but server, well, mail server loop queue manager, it feeds in that function. Looking at this function, I don't see any loop inherently in here, other than, well, no, other than this like for loop right here, but it isn't looping over the entire function. One thing I'm kind of curious of is this function just called repeatedly? For that, I'm going to set a breakpoint at queue manager loop. We hit it once. Now, one thing, I've made an SMTP fuzzer, which right now I've configured that will just simply send an email. Nothing else won't actually fuzz at the moment. I'm going to use this so I can effectively just send postfix an email on command. So let's do that. Hit it. Cool. So we see that the beginning of the function is called repeatedly. Cool. So yeah, it is just the beginning of the function is called. That is cool. Now let's begin looking over this function. Attempt to drain the active queue by allocating it. I'm just going to read the comments for a second. That'll probably give me a bit of introspection to what's happening here. Okay, cool. I'm back. Now one thing I'm going to do is actually, what is the... I forget what's actually, hang on a second. Cool. So, one thing I'm gonna do is one function I've identified as part of the process for a new email entering into the queue. It says queue manager create. I kind of just looked at this, spent a minute looking at the various functions and just found it and just sort of just guessed and was right. So I'm gonna set a breakpoint for here. Let's just make sure it's called once per. Okay, it looks like it's called twice. Okay, cool. Either way, let's just check the call stack that it's called from. Queue manager loop, queue manager active feed, allocate create. Yep, called from, has the same call stack. I'm not sure it's same location from all those functions, but same functions calling the same functions. This queue manager active feed we see is called in queue manager from right there. What it does, I don't know, but let's try to find out. Looks like it's in this function. Oh, the source code file. I just guessed if it was in there. Because queue manager active feed, queue manager active. Cool. Feed one message into active queue. Okay, so this actually feeds in a message into the queue according to that comment. Assuming the comment is correct. If mail open, okay. Make sure something is running. We are something okay. Check to see, I'm not sure what a queue is though right now, but let's see if we can find out. Queue manager message. So checks to see if we can insert it. Scan info. Check for if it wants a verbose output for like diagnostic purposes, I'm assuming. Scope files that have timestamps. Check for the timestamp associated with the file. Move the message into the active queue. So it looks like this is the code where it actually gets inserted into the active queue. What an active queue is compared to other types of queues, I don't know at the moment. Let's see if we can find out. Extract envelope information sender and recipients. At this point, mail addresses. So this throwing away queue files. If message equals, so X tries to allocate it. Queue manager active corrupt. Okay. Special case. Looks like a special edge case. So it says right here extracts the envelope information. Not quite sure how. Maybe it looks like queue manager message alloc is the function that's responsible for that. The rest of these just look like error checks effectively. So looking at this function, it looks like it's primarily the two functions that are responsible for the majority of the work are mail queue rename, and this moves it to the active queue. Again, I'm not sure what that is at the moment. And queue manager message allocate. Let's take a look at mail queue rename. Actually, before I do that, let's see where it's called from. Break mail queue rename. So it's called from, of course, queue manager active feed. Called from there again. Okay, so only, okay, cool. Move. Let's see, where is this? QID, where does QID come from? My active feed. QID is the for first argument, so it's going to be an RDI. RDI. So this is the name of the queue. That might be helpful to know when reversing this out. So okay, let's find where this file is, or the function is, I should say. Source queue manager. And what am I doing? I should just copy it so I don't make a spelling mistake. Okay. That's interesting. Does not look like there's a function declaration for it. Or at least like one that we can grep for, I should say. Is there like... I have an idea. This is probably defined in one of the libraries that are imported into this module. Yeah, we see it's in a global mail queue. One thing Postfix will have, not all of the modules are meant to be like standalone, either commands or daemons ran. Some of them are just libraries with imported modules. And also, one thing I just realized that we could do to check that is... Yeah. Wait, no, that's compiled into queue manager, but because it's imported in the library. Okay, cool. See, it's defined from here, so let's open it up and take a look. Actually, I want to do this window here. Postfix source. Where's global? And it is, what's the name of the file? MailQ. Wait. Yeah, mailq.c. Cool. And okay, so here's the actual function itself. Here it is. Cool. Allocates some v strings. Try the operation. MailQ path alt key. Wait a second. Looking at this QID scan key. So, one thing I'm seeing. Actually, hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. Now, one question I have is if this inserts one message into the active queue, where is the message itself? Now, since this function takes two arguments, one of which being the QID, which is just a string, that probably doesn't have the message, so it's probably in this scan info. So I'm going to want to look at what the struct declaration is for this. So let's look at that. Right. QManager.h, let's look at that. So it takes the queue name, the flags, inflags, and I'm not seeing anything here that's like a message. Wait, no. Let's look at scander. Let's go back to the queue manager loop. Actually, scan next. Okay, looking at this, so mail queue rename, move message to another queue. Not sure what's called renaming, but let's see. Effectively looking at this function, it looks like it basically just calls sane rename. Let's see what that function does. It is declared in util sane rename.c. Let's look in there. Okay, cool. So sanitize rename errors. Rename. That looks like a standard function. No. I'm gonna Google rename. What is that? C rename. Okay, it renames a file. I'm confused why it's using that. Mail queue path. Maybe this will illuminate it. Maybe what's happening is the queue, it's storing messages as files and then just changing moving it to a queue by just moving it to another directory. Actually, that would make sense if that's how it works. Let's see, where's this mail queue path? Where is it declared? it has to return something because, well, what does it have to return? We know it has to return char pointers because saying rename is taking those as an argument. So constant char path global mail queue.c. Oh, so it's the same file. Okay. Cool. So here it is. Cool. Returns a char pointer, what we expected. Append the queue ID to the pos. Actually, I just realized if this is returning an actual like directory or file path, what we should be able to do is delete 3, break at we can break at this return from it and see exactly what it's returning. So broke there, finish. What is an RAX? RAX active should be called twice. Incoming. Wait, let's go back to old buff to new buff. Okay. I'm gonna hang on one second, I have an idea. Okay, so what I was able to do was looking at the arguments, we saw that it was returning incoming and act. Wait, let me pull it up. Yeah, incoming and active. Looking at this directory path, since it doesn't have a slash, that means it must be relative. But you see that active is a directory and incoming is a directory. So I just effectively did a search and saw that, oh hey, var spool actually has that. And looking at here, we can see in this directory that you see that there's the active and the incoming directory. So I believe, actually I need to be sudo to do this. Or probably just the postfix. Let's see. Yeah, postfix. Looking at incoming, we see that file. You see what might look like, yeah, an email. I know, like, it's a lot of garbage here, but the fuzzer that I made basically outputs stuff like that. And it should move it to active. Oh, okay, so let me just set a breakpoint and see if that's what it does. Where is this? Rename. Finish that. So now we're back to active feed. It's no longer an incoming, it is an active. So, okay, so how the queue works effectively from what it's looking like is it operates off of the file system. By that I mean it takes an email, scans it in, and actually stores it in a directory, with a directory being the queue. Okay, that's good to know. This is starting to make a lot more sense. Queue rename. So, okay, we aren't right now looking at the point at which it creates well, it actually takes it in. We're right now looking at the point where it's already scanned and starting to process it. Probably want to go back and look at that other part, but not right now since we're already concentrating on something else. Okay, is this key manager active feed cool? So we know how it moves the message from the incoming queue to the active queue, effectively just moves the file. So let's look at this. Extract envelope information sender and receivers. At this point, mail just have been processed to claim service that should be in canonical form. Generate request to deliver this message. Throwing away Q files seems bad. Q files might have been nice to read to that comment. That would probably give me a bit more. Would have led me to the whole it stores emails as files in the queue conclusion earlier, especially when they made it this far into the mail system. Therefore, we save bad files to a separate directory for further inspection. Saves bad email files in another directory kind of makes sense with emails like, oh, not emails, directories like corrupt. Key manager flush after, define. Okay, so just defining some macros here. Okay. And queue manager message allocate. Maybe what's happened actually, effectively what it's doing right now from what it looks like for this comment, it's point mail address exactly. So they should be kind of generate request to deliver this message. Queue manager message alloc looks like I might do that. Let's take a look at that function. Queue manager message.c. Create in-core message structures. Okay. What are the arguments to this function? The queue name, queue ID, queue flags, and mode. Okay. Create an in-core message structure. I'm just going to look through this function for a second. Okay, looking back, this is the function that queue manager message create uses to effectively allocate a queue manager message. We see that effectively just allocates the size of a queue manager and then it sets the various things of the struct. One thing I'm looking for is like a file name. I don't see that here. I do see FP, which is probably like a handle to that file that is opened later. So let's go back to here, queue manager. You see here vstream file no, so it's probably opening it or trying to open it. Internal lock, queue manager lock mode. I wonder if it operates the queue by only having like one file in a directory, because I'm not seeing like a file name. Might be, I'm not sure. Queue manager open. Oh, so also appears to have like a locking system for the message because it opens it, writes the file handle, and then closes. Oh no, that doesn't close it there. It does a check. If the check fails, then it closes the message. Queue manager message read. What is this? I'm curious. Probably just scans the contents of the file. Buff, initialize no early returns. Or we have memory, okay. Recipient offset. Does a check right there. Another check. Tell. Where does it actually scan it in? Get route. It's probably, wait. Start. Go to. Is this where it actually scans it in? Wait, no. There's more to this function. Process recipient records. Wait, how big is this function? Yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. Okay, all the way down here. Okay, I'm not gonna look through this. This is a giant function. I'm not gonna spend time looking at it right this instant. I'm just gonna assume it just reads the message. Validate the file contents. So it's safe to modify the file properties now. Message is forced to expire. Okay. Queue manager message sort. Okay, it appears like at this part of the code, it has created the message and it's looking to actually process it. So let's start looking at it. Sort message recipients by domain. Queue sort. Looks like what it's doing, calling queue sort and then setting, well, no, recipient list. Yeah, looks like this is primarily just a wrapper for the queue sort function, which is not in here. Oh wait, is this a standard? This is probably, actually, I'm not sure. Okay, so this has a C standard library function queue sort. Oh, it just sorts an array. The first element, number of items. So what this does, if it looks like it basically just like sorts the recipients, sort message recipient addresses by domain, start of the array, number of items in the array, size of each item in the array, and then this is the function that actually will sort it. Cool. That's the first time I've seen the queue sort manage. Well, not manage, the queue sort function. Queue manager resolve. Resolve recipient. So this is probably where it just actually does the work for DNS to with DNS to resolve where these mailboxes belong. And then it sorts it again, and then assign. What is this? Looks like an interesting function. Assign recipients to specific delivery requests. Look up or initiate the message job if necessary. Look up. Add the recipient to the current entry. Increase all those recipient. 4 loops once per recipient. Skip recipients with dead transport. Check right there. Queue manager job obtain. Let's look at this queue manager job obtain. Is it in here? Accidentally misclicked. No. Let's try. Oh wait. Never mind. Queue manager job.c is where it's from. Find, create the appropriate job, and make it ready for the new recipients. Cool. Looks to see if it's there. Bit looks for a job, if not, creates a job. And then, okay. What does a job look like? allocates it. Oh, it also gets a message, job transport, list in it. Okay, this podcast has been going on for 30 minutes already, so I'm probably gonna cut it clean. I have not like been able to reverse out like as much as I would like to, but I'll continue later. What you have found today is that like how the queue manager functions with files and directories. Oh, the queue manager has various queues. The queues are actual directories on the file system, which will store files in and move them between it. Appears that the general process is when it first enters, gets placed into the incoming queue, then moved to the active queue, then a job is created which will actually deliver it. One job, there's a job for each recipient. Past that, I'm not quite sure. I'll continue looking it up. Thanks for watching.